of is, but that goal difference might actually cost them as time goes on. But how did Botafogo stop PSG? Well, we can head to the tactics board and I can show you exactly how they did it, because it was clever stuff. And we were talking about it before the game started. We're like, how on earth do you stop this PSG side? Because they've been absolutely fantastic. And this is how the two teams set up. But there were some big changes. You had Beraldo, who came in. You had Zaire Emery, who is a fantastic player. Yeah. Mayulu, who came in a slightly different position than I was expecting. And crucially, of course, you had Ramos as well, but Hernandez. Hernandez was a really important piece for Botafogo's game plan. Were they expecting it? I don't know. Or was it something that Paiva, the coach for Botafogo, changed really quickly? But what they did was they didn't press outrageously, which is a dangerous task when it comes to PSG. But what they did brilliantly was they sort of guided the ball over to Hernandez, because with Hernandez in and Mendes out, not the same attacking verve that you would normally see from PSG. And I think sometimes when you're the team that's maybe not got the same amount of great players, you've got to kind of pick one guy to sort of go, you have the ball and maybe we can stop you. They also showed a lot of tenacity, and we can show you all of that right now. So here you go. This is Botafogo out of possession. And yeah, not timid. They're moving up the pitch. They're trying to get up the pitch, not pressing outrageously, but just guiding the team over to that left-hand side, using that sideline as a defender in itself. And then centrally, tenacious as well, not letting them through the middle. What do they call it?
Yeah, exactly. The whole idea was to just compact the centre as much as possible and surround any PSG player that had the ball in this position, and it paid off brilliantly in this move here, being able to wriggle away and finish the chance really nice. Bit lucky with the deflection, but you need that to get past Donnarumma.
Yeah, and I think, look, sometimes your defensive setup is what's going to lead to your goals. That's what you want to happen, because there's three sides of it. There's out of possession, in possession, and in transition. And right there, we saw them do brilliantly. But overall, they also had an attacking plan as well, didn't they? They
had some really good offensive patterns as well that we saw. Some more European, I'd like to say, and some more South American that maybe we don't get to see too often. This is a pattern that we see quite a lot, this cutting inside and then this deep cross onto the back post, something that Liverpool, for example, do really well. But this is something that I love to see, and it's this idea of staying compact on one side of the pitch. So when we see this move progress, in our European minds, let's say, we're used to seeing the ball moving towards where there's more space, where we have more players in support. So, for example, as the ball shifts back here to the defender, you see so many players on the opposite flank, and you're like, OK, there's where the space is.
Expecting that switch to recycle, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah. But what we see a lot in South American football, and with Botafogo in particular, is they want to keep the ball where they have more players. Now, it didn't particularly work well for them in this move, but we did see that a lot in this match, and it's really interesting.
Because part of the point there is to have a plan, but also to be able to kind of keep the ball for a little bit. Because PSG, defensively are superb. They had 75% possession, 708 passes, but just 12 shots and not a single big chance. Did they underestimate Botafogo a little bit?
Yeah, I think Luis Enrique got it wrong, and it's rare for us to say that, especially this year, to rotate so heavily for this game, because a win tonight, PSG would have qualified, and then you can rest everybody, put all the kids for the third game against Seattle, because you're already through, and Seattle is nowhere near as good as Botafogo, so maybe a bit of too much rotation tonight.
Yes, and they tried to bring them all on, but it didn't make a difference. Renato Paiva then with the masterclass. He gave an interview after the game, and yeah, it was good fun to watch.
Brazilian teams are unbeaten so far at the Club World Cup. What do you think it is about that South American grit that works out so well? What a beautiful moment, what a moment. It means so much to them. There's a lot going on. Why do you think Brazilian teams are doing so well?
I prefer the kiss of my wife, but...
Amazing stuff. Do you know what, if I'm Renato Paiva, I'm getting that picture, I'm framing that, I'm putting that on my table in the office, because then surely he's in a job for life. Great stuff, a great victory for them as well. Let's have a little look at the socials here, because, yeah, everyone's talking about this, including the main man, Snoop Dogg. Here he is. Everyone talking about this win. It's an absolutely huge victory. Snoop Dogg there at the game in his Botafogo shirt and on the beaches of Copacabana. The fans are in utter dreamland. An incredible historic win. Of course, European champions against the champions of South America, and the South Americans are on top. And in this tournament, it feels like they're on top overall, because they still remain undefeated, don't they?
Yeah, and we said from the beginning, they are the ones that can compete with European teams. We don't know how far, and if they can reproduce this kind of performance again and again. But it would be very interesting to see how many qualified and where in their groups, first or second, and who they face, especially in the last 16, and potentially their route all the way to the final to see if there could be more upset like tonight.
That's good. It's starting to heat up now, guys. So this is what's coming up later. Let's have a look. So you've got Benfica against